Hi fam, I'm back with another recipe. Today I'm making Wrewre soup. If you're interested in this video, then definitely keep watching. Let's go. So I started with my melon seeds or Wrewre seeds. I washed them thoroughly and then I dried it for about 2 hours. Make sure it's very dry. Then I proceeded to roasting it. So for the roasting, you're just going to put it in the pan for about 8 to 10 minutes. You don't have to roast it for too long, but just make sure it's roasted and it's brown, but it's not burnt. So make sure the heat is not too high, otherwise it's going to burn. Once you're done roasting, you're going to put it in a blender or a food processor, or you're going to pound it. If you have a mortar at home, you can use any of that. So for mine, I used the blender. It was a bit challenging because I couldn't really get it to be very smooth. But then once I was done, I realized that one other way you can make it very smooth is by adding water when you're blending it, so that it becomes a paste-like mixture. Then you just add water and you mix. So next time I'll do it like that. So I'm just giving you guys a tip for when you want to blend it. If it's in the powder form, it can be very challenging if your blender doesn't really support blending powder stuff. So once I was done, I transferred what I blended into a bowl. So I'm pouring everything into this bowl here, and then make sure you get everything out of the blender. Sometimes when you blend it, everything just gets stuck at the bottom of the blender. So you can use a spoon, a spatula, whatever, to get everything out, because you're going to need all of that. The next thing you're going to do, you're going to add in some water. That's what I'm going to be using to mix the powder to get that liquid form that will be added to the soup base. So I'm going to add water. I don't really have a direct measurement, because I believe it would depend on how light you want your soup. Some people like it very light, some people also like it a bit heavy, so it depends on you. So you can adjust the water to your preference. Once you're done mixing the powder and the water to get that liquid mixture, there are two ways, or there are two things you can actually do at this stage. Either you sieve it and then keep it aside and add it when the soup base is ready, or you wait till the soup base is ready, then you sieve it into the soup. Either way is fine. So I'm going to start with the soup base. First of all, I use chicken for mine, so I'm going to add my washed chicken into my pan, and then the next thing I would do is that I would add blended ginger, garlic and onions. You can add any other thing. You can add cloves, you can add any other spices or herb you want to add. Everything is fine. Then once you have that in, you're going to add your seasoning. I added some chicken seasoning, next I added some seasoning cube, and then I added some salt. The next thing I also did is I added some tomato paste to the mixture, and I added water, enough water to be able to steam and cook the chicken very, very well. Once you're done with that, you're going to stir everything together. So stir everything well, add your water, add tomato paste, and then just cover it and allow it to cook for some time. Allow it to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes before you decide to do anything. I decided to stir it again so that the other side will also be equally cooked. This was after the meat has been on the fire for about 5 minutes. I just wanted to turn the other side so that it will also be able to cook properly. Then I covered it and allowed it to cook for 10 more minutes before I decided to add the mixture. So for mine, I decided to pour the mixture over the soup. But then the next time I do it, or what I would recommend, is that once you're done mixing everything together, just sieve it and set it aside. That gives you less work to do. And also you can sieve it as many times as you want. For this, I only sieve it once, but the next time I do it, I'm going to sieve it 2 or 3 times, just so I can get rid of all the chaff and everything else. This was perfectly fine, but I believe that if you sieve it more, it would really help. Make sure to get as much food as you can from it. If you have to add water to the chaff to get all the liquid out, do that, because sometimes the chaff can contain a whole lot of food that you can actually use. So that's why when you drain it several times, you can actually get a lot of liquid from it. So once you're done with this, the next thing you're going to do is to throw the chaff away. You don't need that for the soup. You can throw it away or use it for anything that you want. If it can be used for compost or whatever, just use it. I also added in some water to adjust the consistency of my soup. This will depend a lot on how light or thick you want your soup. Then next, I added in the vegetables. I added some tomatoes, onions, and then pepper. This is going to be blended at a later time, but you add it to the soup so that it cooks with it. You can also decide to boil it separately if you want, but I find this process much faster. Then once it's been on fire for about 10 minutes, or when you check and it's well cooked, you can take it out and blend it. One other thing that I would also do differently the next time is actually to sieve the mixture. For this one, once I was done blending, I just added everything to the soup, and I realized that some of it didn't really blend very well. So what I think is best if you are going to make this soup is that make sure you sieve that with a strainer, a cheesecloth, whatever you can get, so that you get the chaff out and only the liquid goes into the soup. This is just a suggestion. If you want to go with just pouring everything directly in, that's also fine. I did that and it was okay. I'm just talking from what I've seen and what I think would work or be perfect the next time. So you can decide to use that or not. So once you add in the blended tomato, onions, and pepper, you can also add in water to adjust. Sometimes at this point the soup is a bit thick for you, so if you want to add more water, just add it, and make sure you don't add too much water to make it too watery, otherwise you won't get the full taste of the soup. So just add it in bits and then check as you add to see that it's actually okay for you. You can just stir everything and then add in your salt to taste, and you are good to go.